Cool. Hey, well, welcome to episode 9 of season 4 of the Operation Grow Show. On today's show, we have quite a full house, actually. We've got some special guests who've popped in to say hi, some regulars, along with some other usual suspects from the other channels who are all regulars and all more than welcome to pop in. So I tell you what, we'll just kick it straight off, and without further ado, let's see, how's everybody doing? Let's start with Lefty. How you doing there with a bit of a Dutch background? Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. A little starry night. All good here, man. Um, Good week, getting settled in. Plans are looking good. Just keep on
Yeah, I've
trucking
got
along.
some. I will share some of the those pictures of your plants in a little bit. Get an
Yeah.
update on that and how they're all doing. Jumping over to Tyler. How you doing, sir? How's the plants coming along? How are you doing?
Everything's doing pretty good over here. Garden's going just fine. Just about to harvest the second batch of orange gasm tonight.
Oh,
Yeah.
nice.
Mhm.
So that's the in-between batch.
Yeah. Those were the tests with 1 gallon. See how it did.
Okay, yeah. And how have they come out?
Yeah, pretty good. I almost think I got the same yield from the 3 gallons. So we'll know in 2 weeks when it dries.
And that was grown in cocoa as well?
Yep. Cocoa that had the different nutrient line though. The stuff I use IPP.
Okay. Yeah. That could make for quite an interesting discussion point where what is the optimal actual root zone size for cocoa? Because you say, look, on the 1 gallon, I got the same yield as I got in the 3 gallon, because in the space I'm growing in the length of time I veg for, actually, yeah, I don't need a 3 gallon pot because of the style of growing I'm doing. I can get away with a smaller pot and still get the same kind of yield.
Yep.
That would
just got to increase watering.
Yeah, for sure. And then Underground, how you doing, sir? Nice to see you again.
I'm doing well, man. How are y'all doing? I'm doing
Yeah,
very
good.
I'm up in Mass. I'm on vacation. Smoking some good, so
Nice.
can't complain.
Excellent. And then Duckweed, so how are you? How's the island treating you today, buddy?
Hey, what's up, everyone? Cheers, nice to be on again. Just fine. Had quite a lot rain today. Yeah. Other than that, getting ready to harvest some autoflowers. Um, and yeah, what do I have going? Oh, clones, right? Yeah, I have some clones from those photo period auto cross I did. Um, so there were three beans that I popped and 3 clones I took. Unfortunately, my dog decided he wanted 2 for himself, so he helped himself to 2 and left me with 1 clone. So yeah, and it was the one I was thinking of keeping anyways. So I think I'll just put the other 2 moms to flower out and keep the one that I'm keeping. And yeah, pop some white widow cross with AK-47 beans. So yeah, I'm basically just looking for a meal right now. As bad as that sounds, fuck. Yeah.
It sounds like what you've been smoking sounds like it's been good. How's is the one in your in the picture there? When is that? Is that come down yet, or are you
No,
still waiting
actually,
for that one to come down?
yeah, maybe tomorrow or Tuesday or so. Most of the trichomes are still cloudy. I haven't seen any amber yet, so I was actually waiting to get a little slight hue of amber before I chop.
Nice.
So even though that yeah, they recommended that 60 days seed to harvest. One of fast bud strain. It definitely didn't go 60 days with me. That bad field veg for like 7 weeks and flowered for like we're going into 10 weeks now.
I'd say that's definitely the one area Actually, I tell you what, let's finish introductions and we'll come back to quoted flower times and unpack it.
Oh,
You could be gone for hours and then go, oh shit, yeah, hang on, a couple of other people. Kino, how you doing, sir? Another person from a mysterious island somewhere
Yeah, I'm good, mate.
across
Thank you.
the pond.
Thanks for having us on. Normal weekend here. Loving this is the time of year when the humidity drops off on this small mysterious island. So I'm loving that. It's gone from 60 down to 40 without needing to put ridiculous amounts of electricity through dehumidifiers. So I'm happy. So while everyone else is miserable, I quite like this time of year. So I'm in a good mood today. But thanks for having us on, Pete, as always.
Yeah, no, absolutely. More than welcome. The more the merrier. And reasonable hour from the
Yeah,
side, as I
that's
say.
A lot of the American
Like till
shows are just
4 a.m.
I wake up in the morning, they're still going from when they started, like early hours. I get to catch the tail end of some of them, but
Yeah. Shit, some of them you can go to sleep, wake up, and you jump on and keep them going a little bit longer.
yeah.
And Raptor, how are you doing, sir?
How's it going, everyone? Just had a pretty good day. Just been relaxing, enjoying the day. Actually found out that one of my agar plates that I put a wild culture of lion's mane on is growing some lion's mane mushrooms on the agar itself. So that's pretty cool. Yeah, you can see that little bit. That's a lion's mane mushroom on the agar itself. This one I did on, always label and date everything, September 29th of this year.
Okay.
So
That's a month and a bit.
exactly. And yeah, pretty excited about that. Gonna make some more agar plates for that and split that up into at least 6 more plates, so that I can culture it out. And then I'm gonna order some test tubes so that I can make, they're called culture slants, and I can keep those genetics for like up to 5 years if I just leave them be and don't touch anything. Yeah, so that's about it. Gonna make some updates for my tent as well a little bit
Cool.
After the show.
And GMF, last but not least, how are you doing, sir? How is your evening going? Or afternoon, I should say.
Can't complain. Feet above ground, hanging out with y'all. So a pretty good day. That's kind of where I set the bar. Everything after that, yeah. So yeah, I can't complain. I get to hang out with y'all. So at home, I'm just rearranging stuff.
No, only been awake 20 minutes.
Yeah, working on it though. Now just actually looking at putting in my PL Grow System minder, but I have to do some rearranging first. So I got part of that done yesterday. I'll get some more of that done today. Because I only have one minder, I just want to make sure I'm making optimal use of it. So I'm getting my tent situated such that I think it's going to get, the best readings that I can get. So
nice. Good to hear. Yeah. So I tell you what, Lefty, and we've got a picture of Lefty and Tyler, your 2 setups for season 4 so far. So let's have a quick look at, I think this is starting with Lefty's. Dude, you've got like thank God for LEDs, hey. Because otherwise you'd be fucked if you were that close.
There's about 5 inches in between the light and the top of the plants.
Oh man.
Looks like my tent. Well done, sir.
Yeah, just about every day I go in there and there's probably 1 or 2 that I'm bedding over.
So the one in the front right here, that's the different one.
Yes, sir. The one in the front left is the strip. The one in the back left is a super crop. They've all been getting cropped. I didn't have a choice.
Yeah. And you can see it there. I mean, you can see that's where you've cropped it on this one. You can actually quite clearly see the bulges in the stalks where it's happened.
Yeah, there's about 5 spots on those plants on the stalks where they're all twisted and cropped.
And this is one of them.
That's the front right one. That's the different one.
And which cultivar was this?
That's Ethiopian Banana by X18.
Okay, nice. And this is looking over that towards.
Yeah, that's the front
the-
right and the back right.
Yeah.
And then the other above is the front left, back left.
Oh. It's a little crowded here. Again, you can see that knuckle there.
Yep.
Wow, yeah. And then Tyler, these are yours. So these are all Orange Gasm.
Nope, Golden Goat.
Golden Goat, sorry. Wow, Jesus, look at the stalk on that thing.
Actually, that's the second smallest one. The one beside you can't see it is just gigantus.
So now this one was okay. Yeah, you said this has had leaf strip done to it.
Yep. Beside it's the Pop and Twist. And then
That's this one over here, is
Yep.
it?
And then the one beside that would be the Monster Crop. And then the back is the Control. And then the back corner is kind of the 3 Orange Gasms.
Okay, so this in the back left here is just the one that was left alone, the tall
Yep.
one.
Yep.
Okay. It's certainly a lot taller.
Oh, yeah.
This is some other moonflower.
Yep.
Looking good. Yeah, no, those are looking good.
But
It's
same
going to
as
be
Q's last
interesting
time.
to see. Definitely that completely different leaf structure to what you're seeing here.
Yep.
Wow. Yeah, those are really, really nice. Yeah. I'm rather jealous.
It's
If
good,
only
Tyler.
we could do that.
Thanks,
here.
man. One day, Pete. One day.
Yeah, one day. But now, what you were saying, what were we getting back to? The auto flowers and pack of seeds. It says 0 to harvest in 60 days. That has to be the biggest lie
Yeah,
ever
for
put on a
sure.
pack of seeds.
Never seen one go anywhere near that. I've done a few. Yeah, I think a lot of things are exaggerated on packs of seeds these days to obviously trick us into having them, and we fall for it every time. But yeah, I've heard of other people taking things around that time, but never. I've never had anything that's been done in 12 weeks, realistically, as an auto.
Lefty, why are you holding a dog turd?
Smells like dog
Nice
turd,
and
tastes like dog
fresh.
turd.
Mm.
Lucky I didn't
Must be-
stand in it.
Must be chocolate.
It's a giant head button.
Nice, dude.
All right, on.
You'll have to show us one day walk us through the technique.
I love a bit of hash.
Of
I
making
prefer
those.
hash to flour.
You don't want to mess around with that, man. Lefty will put you on your back. Yeah.
What I
Yeah,
washed
that's your.
underground.
Oh, okay. So is that made from bubble wash?
Yep.
Not rub charis.
No, it's not hand road Charis.
Well, yeah. Sorry, mate.
Sorry, man. Maybe
It
next.
doesn't have the skin cells, Lefty.
Yeah, exactly.
Come on,
I
it's
mean,
not quality.
how do you get that? Authentic taste to it. The smell of burning flesh.
I love a bubble hash one. I just use trim and that for it as well. I just save trim until I've got a load of it, and it's just getting everything from the plant. And I even run what's left from the trim through some ISO afterwards as well, isopropanol, because then anything that didn't make it out, getting everything you can out from the plant. So
See, that came up the other day on, where were we talking about? Was it on Fumi's channel? The use of isopropanol. Because like in the UK, isopropanol is, I mean, yeah, it's about as clean as it's going to get when it comes to a solvent to wash something with and be able to easily get rid of it.
Yeah, it's like 99, right?
99.9%.
yeah, you've got to use the 99.
99, so yeah.
You do get 70% over it, but obviously use the 99% stuff. It's quite cheap as well. You get 5 liters
dirt
for next
cheap.
to nothing. So
Yeah. And then, so long as because you can just put that on a warm tray and it will purge itself.
Yeah.
Mix it up a little bit. do be careful. It's quite warm and you drop some there's a bit of water in it and you drop some coconut oil in still. Whoa. It'll pop and crackle for you. Yeah, made that mistake. Well, cousin Chip made that mistake.
So use a rice cooker. I leave it outside until it's right down to like the last bit. Add a couple of drops of water, and then I'll do that indoors. So obviously, you've got to be safe with these things. So the rice, no, a slow cooker I use, not a rice cooker, and just leave it outside on low until it's pretty much boiled away, like 99% of it. And it's safe that way as well. I'm not emptying 2-3 liters of vapor into the house, so no accidents.
So a good tip is to use a stir plate that can also has a heating option to
problem
it,
you'll
or
have
you
with
could
that
just
is-
use a heated one.
Well,
Go ahead.
it depends on what you mean by the problem. It's when you have a whole lot left, it becomes quite gelatinous or viscous for the stirrer to work, and then you got to clean that off. But that's a good problem to have. Oh, damn it! It's at the bottom of my liter pot.
Well, it is safe. I'm just saying you're not working with an open flame.
Yeah,
So,
Oh yeah,
yeah.
you would never want to work with an open
No,
flame.
no,
but yeah,
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
So
You-
that's what
you've
just
gotta
the
watch-
slow cooker is over it. It's just electric heat, but it's inside a ceramic.
Oh, got
bowl.
you.
So
Perfect.
and to clean it
Get
off, though, I just use
induction.
more ISO. If you just use more
Mm.
ISO to clean it off, then you just put that away, winterize it, and you've got another load to go. And anything that's left on there is quite condensed anyway. So it's I'll see people say, "How do you clean it off?" Or you sit there scrubbing it. Why aren't you just using more ISO? Because it dissolves it again. You know what I mean?
Or at that point, actually, what I found works well to clean it out actually is a bit of coconut oil. That's when you use the
Yeah, maybe
coconut oil
so.
and not any more ISO, because you don't have to worry about purging it then.
Yeah,
You've
yeah.
already purged, and if you're going to use it in an edible, then some warm, and especially if the coconut oil is warm, it just dissolves it up straight away, and then you can just pour it out. That works really, really quick and easy.
I've got some coconut oil, so I'll probably have a play with that.
Mm,
So, yeah, because it's just we get that residue around when you're using something like a slow cooker. You do get the residue. It's more like a hashy residue where it's just bits of stuck to the sides. So I'll do that.
Yeah,
Often,
because
just
you
put that
can't
back in the
clean it
bottle.
all off.
Yeah, as much as I try. But, yeah.
Oh yeah, and you lick the back of the spoon afterwards.
Oh
then,
yes. We had someone do that on the forum and was in a bad way for days.
Stuck on a couch.
Oh, he was, I don't know what he must have leaked, but he also then went and brushed his teeth to get rid of it, and it was on the toothbrush, and he kept brushing his teeth for days, wondering why he was continuing to get worse, because it was always all over the toothbrush. But he's one of the ones that will not listen, so he has to make mistakes to learn.
Hey, he has some blotter. Go play. I'm selling tickets. So, and question about roots, because as Tyler mentioned, he was saying that the yield that he's looking to have gotten from that latest crop of Orange Gasm out of 1 gallon pots is going to be roughly the same to what you were getting out of 3 gallon pots, which is most likely down to just how long you veg them for, is to how much of that root zone they're actually going to take up. But then that does lend the question to, when it comes to the roots being like the all important part of the plant, what do people do to ensure a healthy root zone in terms of soil and in cocoa? But how do you identify that you could have problems in the root zone? Are there telltale signs in terms of leaf curl, leaf hang, things like that? There's usually some other indicators that could tell you what is going on. The idea of overwatering or underwatering is more drowning them or making sure they actually have enough air. The thing that kills the concept of you overwater them is DWC. Fuck it, it's all water. But it's aerated water. That's the important thing. So there's no oxygen if there's no oxygen or CO2 in the water, it'll create a problem. But yeah, so what are people's experiences, tips, tricks, things that you learned products that you use. I mean, I would say that Canazyme is one of those, or an enzyme is really good for breaking down and keeping the roots in a healthy state. And you can use it in soil as well. It doesn't have to just be, it's not just a cocoa thing. It breaks down dead material. It's enzymes that you're adding into the substrate. Wow, I killed it.
That's
So,
nice.
waiting to jump in. I don't really use root stem products anymore. I started out using like Risotonic and things like that, but it was expensive. And I moved down to I don't know if you've got over the pond, but we something called Roots, Plant Magic Root Stem, and that just stank. And I started not using it. I mean, cocoa. I have to say that first. Obviously, I've got a good air ratio to air to water ratio in the medium, and soil would be probably a bit different, but. Yeah, I stopped using them. I started doing side-by-side tests, not really tests, but I mean just doing 4 days on, 4 days off, and then I've done side-by-side, and I just started to realize that I don't know, I'm not saying that all products are not going to do it. I'm saying for me personally in my groom, I just stopped using them. I'm not, but then again I would continue to use something like Canarizo, but when you're watering as much as I was, the amount of liters that I'm putting through it, that was expensive stuff, runs away. So I'm now just trying to stick with mycorrhizal products, like Dynamico. I think a few people use Charges it, and I've only used it. So yeah, but as far as it goes in cocoa, I haven't had problems for a long time. But just look for a droopy leafed seedling. They just don't. You can just tell by looking at it, not very happy. That's not a very specific answer, but yeah, you will know with the growth of the seedling. If you haven't grown your first grow, you're not going to, but it's difficult to pinpoint early problems. There can be so many things that will affect a seedling, and as we all know, they will be fine normally in 2 to 3 days anyway if they have a little wobbly. But
yeah, I see in chat 4 plants as actually just we must be linked psychically somehow, because I was just going to say one of the early signs of like being able to identify if you want to get down with your nose, especially if they're little pots, you can actually smell them, and if it smells funky, then that something's not quite right. If they've been sitting there, they're too wet. That's usually you're starting to get root rot, and that will be the signs of leaves starting to droop and look a bit strange. And also sometimes that can affect just like one part of the plant, because part of the root zone is you can be feeding just a certain part of the plant. So if you get root rot in just one area and you'll see one part of the plant struggling, that's usually an indicator of something wrong in the roots. It's just when one piece of the plant is having a problem. What is one of the many?
it's a tricky one with roots. You often see roots sort of root issues wrongly diagnosed with other things, because people don't automatically think roots. You're automatically, when you see something wrong, you're automatically looking at pH, feed, temperature, humidity. That's the first things that jump to a grower's mind, and I see it a lot on social media, and it's often 3 steps down they get to the root issue. But yeah, smelling it's a good one. I mean, if you've got stagnant feed in there, I'm a cocoa grower, so it's a bit different. Obviously, once I've got roots at the bottom of the pot, I'm flooding them, but you can't do that in soil. I understand that. So I haven't really grown in soil for a very long time, so I'm not the best person for that. But in cocoa, the only time you're going to get in trouble in cocoa with roots realistically is until they sort of establish themselves. That first few days in a pot when you pot up, or the first week in the seedling stage. Once you've got roots at the bottom, you are all right, I think. But yeah, as for soil, I can't really comment. Sorry.
And I think you quite often are likely to see it more on like mother plants in cocoa, where it's been sitting in the same pot for a very long time and now it becomes root bound. That's when I find products, the enzyme products that they're not root stimulators, but what they do is they break down all of the old root materials so that new roots can grow, and it actually gives that breakdown sort of creates nutrients in that for the plant and for the root zone itself. It sort of revigorizes it. So, something like that, along with Recharge or a product along those lines. Yeah, that can really.
I think something that's overlooked too is just the watering habits. I kind of base my watering habits off of what I learned for the golf and turf industry is watering deep and infrequent. I'll water to runoff, and then I'll let my pots almost to the point to where my plants are wilting. Not quite stressing them, but to the point to where that pot is completely dried out, to where you're making your roots search for water, search out that moisture. All you're doing is driving root growth, and all those root tips are just driving roots by doing that, and keeping that soil dry and allowing it to dry out. You don't ever have that anaerobic condition, and you're always just driving those roots. And really, in golf, we grow roots, and grass is just the result of having good roots. But yeah, it's really all about your roots with your plants. Any plant, it's roots.
Yeah. But I said big roots grow big fruits. So, isn't that one of is that Soil Kings thing, growing pineapples?
I think so.
Being the
Yeah,
tagline.
I agree with Lefty, because like in my 7-gallon pots, I bottom feed a lot. And with that method, I don't have that problem. Like, my plants, they search out the roots, and I've had a couple of them pots like for a year and some change, and I haven't had any root problems, like none of that.
And do people track the temperatures of their root zone? That's another one. I mean, everybody is all into tracking the temperature of, well, yeah, I'm going to be a bit can't comment, but everybody tends to track the temperature about a foot above the fucking canopy. So does anybody bother checking 3 feet below it or 6 feet below it in the actual ground where the roots are? Just to keep an eye on it.
Not indoors. In the greenhouse, I did. Growing the hemp, yes, I kept, because I ran some fabric pots that were black, so I definitely was keeping track of the root zone.
And if you're planting into the ground, like with the chilies in the greenhouse, I keep a track of the soil temperature when it comes, because unless stays above 15 degrees C, if I put them in, I'm just going to stunt the growth. The plant's just going to sit there and wait for the soil to reach an optimum temperature to get going. So if you want to slow them down, plant them in when the soil's still too cold. But then indoors, you'll actually be surprised indoors, especially if you're pulling air from outside. And at this time of year in the Northern Hemisphere, so in winter, wherever you are, you'll be surprised just how cold that bottom foot of your grow room can become. Walk in there with your shoes and socks off. And then you get to feel just how cool it is. And I don't know. I think probably it being too warm is probably more dangerous for denaturing of soil and and fucking up the biology in the soil. Too cold will slow it down. So around about 20 degrees, 21, 22 degrees Celsius, 18 to 20 degrees Celsius is kind of the optimal temperature range for the roots, is my understanding.
Depends on the plant.
Yeah. But below 15 degrees Celsius, it'll stop growing. It really, and that is for this particular plant. Ambient temperature drops below 15, it stops. Root zones drops below 15, it slows it down significantly. And then if the same goes for your water reservoir. You don't want that to get too warm, or you don't want that to get too cold either. The catch they're getting too warm is all the oxygen buggers off. It becomes really anaerobic really quickly. So as soon as it gets above 20 or so degrees, you want to make sure you're aerating that water reservoir, either with an air stone or just have a fountain that's just constantly bubbling it through, so it is aerating it. You can do it that way. That's how fish ponds stay aerated, with a fountain just churning the water over. And if you're using CO2 supplement, watch out about where your air pump is, because if you're just pumping super rich CO2 air through your reservoir, you're going to have to be using pH up pretty regularly.
I don't think enough people do monitor that sort of thing, do they? As in the roots. I remember I still don't do it. And I'm a very good grower. Once sat down and spoke to him, and he was telling me how important it is, and how it's almost as important, if not even in his opinion more important, to make sure, obviously, that not to the extreme where you're at like 40 degrees outside the pot cooking your plants, but I mean, keep the root zone at the right temperature. It's just something you don't see a lot of people doing. But it's the little 1%, so doing little 1% like that. And like you said, I scrog heavily, so I mean, underneath my canopy, it's cold. It's cold. I'm on a concrete floor. I really should be monitoring what's going on in them pots, but it's them little 1% that really add up. The 1% looking at the temperature and the environment, the root zones, and that will all add up to make you more consistent and obviously get a better bud at the end of it. But
and the other thing in wintertime, what the catch with it getting like cold lower down is the dew point temperature. So that's the point at which the current humidity, the current amount of moisture in the air, if the temperature drops any lower, it can't hold it and it will form condensation. Now, the nice temperature high up at 50% or 75, let's say 50% humidity at 27 degrees Celsius, when you get down to that root and this cold air that's coming in initially is coming in at like 12 degrees. That's over 100% humidity. So down the bottom, you suddenly get condensation, and that's where the mold and the problems start to set in, is where that little fauna in the back that you can't see behind the pot, that's getting, that's where it sets in. So it's monitoring the temperature at the floor zone is kind of important from that perspective. As a part of your IPM, it's a good practice to keep an eye on that.
I have a really weird temperature monitoring system. I use my butt. So I sit on the floor of my grow room in my shorts when I work, and I make sure that if I'm comfortable, it's comfortable. And then I always have one of these handy for brewing, little laser thermometer. So I just play Star Wars and I pew, 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 and I shoot everything I'm just curious about the temperature about. And so I can really, it's just me. I'm a weirdo. So I always have one of these handy.
Hey,
Cool. I remember that. I thought you said you're gonna. I thought you said you kept it up.
Is a game changer. Anybody that runs greenhouse, that is a game changer. Your resurface temperature matters.
But then you've got to make sure you, track the full height of the canopy. That really is the important thing.
And I can hit an 82 leaf temp and then go down and temp. Right now, for example, it's wintertime where I'm at, or getting there. So it's much colder, and I don't really do a lot to heat my house. I'm kind of Spartan like that. I just let it go and put on a sweatshirt. So my floor is 68 degrees when I temp the floor. And that's the floor everything sits on, is at 68 degrees. So then my right now, my canopy is 76 degrees.
Which to me
like my
means
leaf temp.
fucking nothing.
Well, it means I've only got an 8-degree difference. Or I've only got a couple degrees Celsius, like 3-4 degrees Celsius max difference between my floor and my canopy.
So what did you say your canopy temperature was? Was it at
76 right now? With the very
76.
top leaf, when I just scanned the very top leaf that was closest to the light, it was 76.
So that's 24. Yeah. So that's 24 degrees. I mean, and the optimal temperature for photosynthesis to take place in cannabis is between 23 and 27 degrees. So you're kind of sitting in the sweet, that's the sweet spot for it.
Yeah, and it's winter, so I'm not going to, add any additional energy. I'm not going to spend any additional money. I won't turn my heater on until I have to. I just keep my house insulated.
But if you do, or if you're in a place and you do have concrete floors, the general recommendation is if you can just put them on something, just because concrete sucks the heat out of stuff. Just like yoga mats.
Something. Yeah, yoga mat, even better. I was saying
buy that pink wall insulation, that pink foam board insulation for walls. I'll use that when I have to set people up on concrete, and even just for cooking their soil. I'll throw a piece of that down and then throw the cooler on that, or I'll throw a piece of that down and then set the rest of the tent up on that. That makes a very effective temp barrier.
And inexpensive from any local hardware store,
Yeah. It's Celotex or Kingspan over, I think it's called, isn't it? That is what I was going to use, but I set the tent up. It's obviously in the tent, so it's sitting on the tent. But one of the ones you think I'll do it when I pack down, I want in between grows, but then you start cycling, and then that was 2 years ago, so it never happened. I've still got the Celotex. It costs like £50 sat there, but no, it never happened. One day. I'm moving out in about a month, so it's not going to happen.
There we go.
I'll sell the Celotex to the next grower that moves in.
Excellent.
I had a question for GMF. How do you deal with your, well, where are your warms? And how do you deal with the cold, the winters you're at?
What do you mean? When it
I'm
gets
just,
colder,
yeah. How do you make
um,
sure that they're okay?
I'll let my heater finally start coming on regularly in my house, and that's it. So that's the thing. I use my house as a giant lung room. So between me, the wife, the dogs, all that stuff, like it's extra CO2. So that's one reason I like to use the house as a lung room, literally, because just keeping it comfortable for us in the wintertime will keep it comfortable for them. It'll be on the low end of comfortable, but they'll be comfortable.
Yeah. Okay. That's the same way I go about it as well. If I have pretty stable temperatures over here, it doesn't get down to what we were talking about, 15 centigrade. So everything's very comfortable, just like you were saying. If I'm comfortable, plants are comfortable. So yeah, very interesting. Thank you.
Yes, sorry, just
So
answering
I
a
said I
question in
use the rule
chat
of my
about
butt too. Like I sit on the grow room floor. If I'm comfortable, they're probably comfortable. You know.
Tyler battling -5 degrees Celsius. Ah.
That's just the start, bud. Just the start.
Exactly. So that's humidity of, minus something, like, at the 0, 0.
From now till about February, it'll be just an uphill battle for the 1 tent. But we'll get used to
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. In fact, the desert has a higher relative humidity than the Arctic in terms of
Yeah.
dryness. At least you get condensation forming in the desert at night. You don't get that in the Arctic.
I mean, the
Most
cold room's a great drying
permanently
room now,
cold.
but that's about it.
Yeah. Actually, it's one of the things that probably gives much better terp is drying it this time of year in the much cooler months. You don't have any of the heat issues with it boiling off low temperature volatile compounds.
Yep.
Remember you saying that, Pete, if you can smell it when you're drying, it's just leaving the plant. And and someone says something, it can be so simple, but a light bulb goes off in your head. So I think I'll be drying in the freezer this year. So I can always smell my growth when I'm chopping, man. So
yeah, I mean I was trying. Oh, that looks good there.
Yeah,
It's
nice
very
lefty.
oily.
Give him a spotlight for that. Yeah, looks lovely.
Hang on a
Yeah.
second. You'll have to show us again.
Did you bring it up to share? No, it's one time.
Yeah.
And it's burning purple.
Man, he'd be
Looks
sleeping
good.
another 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Y'all know he done
Nice.
put some of that hash in there, so he'll be going down real soon. And I saw his cookies.
Yeah. Oh dear. It looks like he's already struggling with it.
I might be awake, but I won't be able to see.
Excellent.
He'll be stuck. His mouth will be moving in his mind, but nothing's coming out.
Yeah, exactly. The lights are on, no one's home. Hey. The wheel's turning, but the hamster's dead. Oh dear. So, GMF, we got to hit that part of the show at least. How did the cob come along? It wouldn't be an Operation Grow show if we didn't talk about the cob.
The male one this time. I'll go grab it if you want to see it. It's definitely finally starting to hit its color change. So it's like the other ones. You really don't get a color change until the secondary ferment. But much less water out of this one too, like drastically less.
And at Dave Martin said New Mexico is 16% humidity. I would hate to be there, bro.
I mean that was like being in Denver in January. It was like holy shit. And so I was saying on somebody's show, it was last night. It was like the freeze dried weed. Remember, Lefty, the freeze dried weed was less dry than the air dried. In fact, it was like, whoa, mate, I don't want to open this free dried jar. It's gonna dry it even more. What the fuck? Let's have a look and see at your
Yeah. So
spotlights.
tried to turn an additional light on. So it's finally starting to lose that bright green color and darken up.
Move it back just a little bit. Yeah, there we go. So now what went into this?
Okay. Now I deconstructed this one just to make it, because basically what it comes down to is surface area. So this one I layered in the bottom stems. Then I did a layer of leaves. Then I put the male flowers in. Then I did a layer of leaves. Then I did a layer of stems. The idea is the whole time I've been doing this, I've been picking out these giant gnarly stems out of the whole process, and it's annoying as fuck. So I'm going to try to use just the chef technique of deconstructing it to get all the benefits in the ferment, but then actually have it separated for when I want it. So that was the idea behind layering this one.
Okay.
And then as far as the liquid goes,
it did give off some liquid in the end. It took a while.
Yes. I had to hang it for a couple hours. I put the vise on it and let it go for a couple hours to finally get this amount of liquid. And yeah, that's only like 6 grams of liquid, man. That's nothing. So,
but then
I
it's
think
a
it
lot
comes
less
down to,
material.
exactly. That's what I was going to say. I think it comes down to the fact that even to get this jar full, I had to use a lot more stem and a lot more leaf in order just to get it to the point where it was, full. You know what I mean? So the ratio of how much male flower you can do at a time is much lower. And this whole thing
or have
looks like
more
it's weighing
males and
in.
use more male flower. I mean, that would be
right now,
the
62 grams total for this thing right now. Jar or without the jar and the lid, it's 62 grams in there. So,
but I guess the difference would be also that you could actually put, instead of it being the amount of plant material. So if you took, it turns out that yes, it is the male flowers that you are oddly enough interested in. You could fit a lot more into that jar than of the female flowers, because it's much, so part of it would be, okay, I can strip a whole plant, an entire male plant suddenly fits in that little jar, as opposed to one branch from a female plant.
And I still got some of the pollen off it. Like some of the pollen comes off in the process. So Ozzy asked me to, so I collected it. And now I'm going to try a couple different storing methods. I don't really have a whole lot of reason to keep it because I made the seeds for myself just to have. So, but I will probably experiment with this just to make sure I know how to keep male pollen viable for a long time.
Sorry, Chris, I've just seen your picture, man.
He does that.
Dear God. That's it, just snuck onto the barbecue and quick slam the lid down.
Yeah. Jesus. And then on Bob's advice, I have a tray that I'm drying for 1 moon cycle, which is 30 days of male flowers for tea bags. And he told me to dry it for at least 30 days, then make a tea out of it.
Nice.
So,
you get
and then
mix that with some rice.
Mix which with the pollen?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to mix it with a little cornstarch and a little rice and a few rice grains.
Yeah.
Thanks for the heads up. I appreciate that. I haven't really tried to keep a lot of pollen.
Yeah, I think we need to figure out other uses for like the full plant. So I think the interesting bit comes is what comes from, because as I said, there's going to be stuff that you'll only find in male plants. You're not going to find it in the female plant. No.
And according to Bob, culturally speaking, like they have a lot of experience with this as very potent medicine, especially for depending on how you consume it. The male flowers are very worthwhile, just not in the same way the females are. All right, because I have
Reading
to.
some
I
other
waited till
questions.
today so I could taste this on camera.
Well,
yeah, I'm not going to deprime you guys of the joy.
There we go.
That's
We
why I
put on
kept it
spotlight
refrigerated.
as
He's been
well.
up for 45 minutes.
Yeah. The problem is, if you leave
Dude,
it,
you're
it's
crazy.
condiment.
Coffee.
Get
Well, I
stuck
took the
in.
juice
Chug,
out of the
chug,
other ones
chug,
and I
chug.
left it at room temp, right? And at room temp, it grows mold. Typically, it's a white mold. So,
Call
Oh,
that a GMF espresso right there.
mm,
Reminds me of the wrestlers at high school lunch. They'd eat anything because they had to puke up to make weight after school anyways. So they'd eat anything. That's fucking GMF. He's not afraid.
it's not
Respect.
nearly as sour or as acidic as the females. Like, the acidity is not there.
Where I've
It's
heard
got
that
the chlorophyll.
before.
Yeah, but it does not have the acidity that I got out of the juice from the males and the females. So I'm imagining when I test this for pH now, I let it come back up to room temp. Like I said, I just kept it in the fridge so we could have it for today. I'll let it come back up to room temp and I'll test it for pH. But it's not going to be very low. It's going to be very neutral. I can tell you right now, it did not go through the same kind of process, whether that's because of the liquid, because of the male flower, whatever. The process is definitely, my guess is the process has got to be different. And you can see there's chunks of pollen kind of just gooed up in the liquid. That didn't happen with the other ones. You could dissolve everything back in the water. With this, that pollen definitely clumped together. I don't know if that's, because it's a protein, or I'd have to research more about what pollen actually is. I don't actually know. I'm not going to speak out of school.
And then how did the I watched you down the bottle, the pint of infused kombucha. How did the rest of the day turn out?
It's not rough. So I can tell you right now, it's probably not decarb. It's not probably extracting the whole thing. The other way I know is I'm smoking it right now. So I took the tea bag out, I dried it, and I waited till first thing this morning. So you guys, I haven't smoked before I got on. I just purposely stayed up late working on stuff and then slept in. So I would get up and get on. So I am currently smoking it. It's got a little bit, it definitely turned brown. And I don't know, it's got a very faint hint of the fruit punch, and it burns like a weed. I put it back in my dryer for a day. So it burns like a weed that's not properly cured. So now instead of burning like a nice white, like all the rest of its, brothers and sisters, it burns more like improperly cured weed. Like it burns a little black and crusty. So that's not as good. And those worried about eating sperm, I've eaten tuna sperm, I've eaten all kinds of animals' innards, so I'm not really worried about it. It's just part of enjoying food. So I think
I've got a movie production company that's interested in talking to you.
Dude, just look at it's just called food, man. In a lot of parts of the world, it's just called food. But anyway, so tuna sperm's a delicacy. Look it up. Anyway, so I think this is still slightly psychoactive because I'm getting a little something off doing it in the bong. I'm saving a little tiny bit because I am going to put it under the camera now that it's dry and see if I can actually see a crystal somewhere. But it isn't a full extraction, I can tell you that. It would probably have to go longer than the few days I gave it to do that. So, but it definitely extracted something because I definitely felt it. And I can tell definitely in the morning. Usually I wake up, particularly my problem is I've got some neck pain from neck damage. I have a fused vertebrae. And I've eaten criadillas. They're good. Bull's balls, just fry them. Dude, my grandma ate calf's brains. Like it's just part of fine food is coming from farm country. So the effect, I can definitely feel it today, but I felt it more because I drank that thing, basically went to bed. And when I woke up in the morning, the one thing I noticed is my neck was decidedly less stiff and sore. Usually every morning when I wake up, I kind of shuffle like an old man and I have trouble moving at first because usually my neck is really messed up. But I noticed all that muscle tension that I usually carry in my neck, I didn't pick up. And I don't know if that's because I went to sleep that way or what. So I will say there was an effect, just not a pronounced one. And there is still a mild effect when I smoke it. but it's definitely not as potent as before the fermentation. So all that makes me think is this fermentation process is doing something, but we're going to have to give it longer in order to actually kind of maximize and figure out what the effect is. I did that just because I wanted something to drink. And it tasted weedy. Like you could definitely, like, it was in there. It was in there. Whether it was just the terpenes and flavonoids.
You should, Painted Lady, you need to just jump back 5 minutes. You missed the fear factor part of the episode.
It's not that bad. I'll do it again.
Oh, hang on.
Here you go. Fine, here. It's not that bad. Like if you can drink parsley juice, that's about what you're looking at, something like that. It's just fermenty, so it's got a lot of the bitterness. It's no longer that fresh green. It's kind of that lawnmower taste. If you ever pull your lawnmower out, you didn't clean it when you put it away, it's got that old rotten grass in there. It's kind of what it tastes like. And then of course there's chunks of pollen floating in there. So there you go. Like I said, people call it food.
Yes, they do. There's so many. I mean, it's just setting them up, and somebody should just be hitting these home runs. There's just one after the other.
Right?
Oh dear. Hey, Ganja Grow, Mr. Bagseed, how you guys doing?
Good, man.
More testing is necessary.
Great.
Good. I see. Or just Dutch Rose was asking, why are we doing this again? So it's part of an ongoing. If you just tuned in, kids, this may seem a bit odd, but it's part of an ongoing, adventure experiment into modernizing a traditional, just a different take on a traditional way of curing cannabis, being a fermentation cure. The original being the Malawi cob, and this is just a modern twist on how to do it, speeding the process up a bit. And one of the things is the liquid that comes off. And GMF was brave enough and good enough to taste test from the one that was, in fact, from both of the previous ones, which were done with female plants. And this one's been done with a male plant, just to see if could be a way of increasing what's available to us in terms of usable product and material. Brief summary.
And we have a lot of cultural evidence, like I said, from talking to Rasta Bob. There's a lot of cultural evidence that this is a valuable medicine. It's just something we often overlook. Same thing with the roots and stuff like that. So I've also been amassing. I can't call myself the mad fermentationist because that's Michael Tonsmeyer. He already has that title. But I ferment weird stuff. So next I'm going to try traditional ganja wine, which is actually made from stems. So I've been saving and amassing and curing stems just for that purpose. So I do weird stuff, man, but it's about, like Fumik always calls it, using the whole buffalo. And I think that's kind of the approach, is waste not, want not. So I either process it into something or it gets fed to my worms and processed back in. I try not to buy stuff, and I try not to have to do things that are outside my own little house, which is, I know, weird, but that's where I try to get all my inputs from.
Yeah, I mean, I think the same concept of, snout to tail should be used in this space. And that's precisely what this does. This really does use the whole less waste, and it's less waste at the end of the day.
Look, we were ignoring 50% of the possibility. Like, we were just throwing out 50% of everything with the males. Well, a lot of people, I mean, what else are they going to do with it?
Well, they freak out.
Compost?
They're like freaking out. Oh, it's bad. Like, if you find something to do with it, it's a complete different avenue. You'd almost be happy when that happens, instead of like,
just move it to another room.
It's just like, for sure.
Now you need a male tent.
Yep.
To add on to your 2 flowers and your veg.
This is how it goes.
And your mushroom tent.
The thing is, you don't want Johnny Law catching up to this. So when they do kick down the door and you've got 200 male plants, they go, you don't know what the fuck you're doing. Turn around and walk out.
We're not wasting our time on this.
Yeah. Well, And look at it this way too. Like, yeah, I'm a chef by training, so I'm very comfortable playing with these ferments. I've made this kind of stuff, all the time in different forms, whether it's kombucha, sourdough bread, uh, kimchi, sauerkraut. These are all the same ferments, the same series of bugs. And my guess is because of that, this is the same set of bugs, just doing a different ferment for us. I have no way of proving it because in my state I'm legal, but I don't have access to a lab for testing and stuff like that. But that's kind of the premise of playing with this stuff, is there's got to be something there that we can unlock, or if not, at least now we know.
Yeah,
You know how to make friendship
exactly.
bread too.
What'd you say, buddy?
You know how to make friendship bread, the Amish recipe for sourdough bread.
Oh yeah. I was actually gonna I was gonna actually make some the other day till my dog had to go to the vet for an emergency trip. So that's probably on for tonight. I actually made I showed it the other day. I can go grab it again. I made 10 quart jars of starter just by taking some grapes, washing them in water, adding flour, shaking it, and then pouring it off, and then fermenting that, and then splitting it. So now I have 10 starters. So basically I can knock out a loaf of bread by taking half of a starter, putting it into the bread, take the other half, put it in a fresh jar, feed it, seal it, then I can make a loaf of bread. And so I can go 10 jars in rotation and just keep rotating them and baking bread.
Make
And
a
each one
pizza.
So
will be a
you
slightly
use
different
the
culture.
Pizza.
you use the grapes as your sugar?
No. Here's the
That's a
thing.
great tip.
Right. Because I did an experiment. I took some of the grapes and I crushed them. I took some of the grapes and I left them whole. The ferment works much better when you leave the grapes whole. Part of the problem is when you crush the grapes, they'll start giving off a lot of sugar, and that's necessarily not going to get you the kind of colony you want to start right away. What I'm using the grapes for is actually to get the bugs off them. So they're more like the inoculant, and bugs like that are able to eat. They're able to make their own amylose and amylopectin. That's why a baguette doesn't have any sugar in it. It's just yeast, flour, water, salt, because they can make their own enzymes to eat the starches. It just takes them a lot longer. In beer, we use the enzymes native to the seed to do it, but with bread, we use the yeast's ability to do it. And I think the same thing is happening here.
That's
I don't know,
cool.
does that make sense, guys?
It does.
Yeah.
All about timing. It's like
How about
like
Lefty?
adding-
We'll let's cut to Lefty and get Lefty. If you could just quickly do a recap of what Lefty's not here, man.
Dave's not
Come
here,
back,
man.
Come back after this much time.
I'm still winning. I'm still
Yeah.
I'm winning.
Yeah.
I
Going
told you he was
slow.
going down. What I tell you?
I'm still upright. Just
Cheers on you, Lefty. Good man.
Hell yeah.
But so if anybody wants to do this, though, it's literally just some organic grapes. I use some organic red grapes, flour, and water. You put them together. You shake the organic grapes in water. Then you get rid of the grapes and just take that cloudy water, add it to flour, and that's your starter. And then you just keep dividing that and adding it to fresh, clean jars with more flour and water, and you double it, and you just keep making more jars. It's kind of like doing
I
the
am
same
all
thing like
over
you're doing
that.
mycology jars. Yeah, and it's
Yeah,
super
that's
freaking
awesome.
easy. Yeah, it's just like making kombucha. Same bugs, man. And all this stuff, people don't understand, like, the reason we make it is not because we make it. We don't make it. We don't do anything. It's just like beer. These are things that were discovered, not invented. We just get the hell out of the way of nature doing its thing. So all we're doing is consuming things that nature has pre-digested for us, right? So all these fermentations we're talking about are basically fermentation outside your stomach, so that when it goes in, it's more, you're actually able to absorb a lot more of the nutrients.
So the only thing you are making is the environment. You put everything there and you just walk away.
Well said, Raptor. Yeah. Microorganisms is more like animal husbandry than it is growing a plant.
Yeah, no. It's working, man. So I'm just reading some of the comments in chat. Yeah, what are you cycling through that bong there, Mr. Bagseed?
Yeah. So
Small controlled burns.
It's clogged up. It's not hitting hard. I gotta clean up that. Like the ash catcher is like full now. I don't know. Like the end of the downstem has like little holes. So instead of going into the water, it just like builds up, and then I clean it out. The water doesn't get as gross, but it's hard to hit. Like when it gets
Oh yeah,
cold.
don't knock over the bong, man. Oh yeah, that
No,
bong
no.
water.
Oh yeah, it's nasty.
Brutal stuff.
Oh my god, yeah, it stinks.
So, Pete, where's everybody at with the breeding project in the group? I think most everybody's pretty much here today, correct?
Yeah, I think most people are here. So I think everybody's at least on their selection process. And also, yeah, 5th of December is going to be
I'm right behind
the
them.
debate night. So
The
yeah,
celebration of the repeal of prohibition in the United States, December 5th, 1933.
yes, with a debate on the ethics of commercial, the commercial use of seeds and plant breeding, etc. So it'll be an interesting one, which also sort of kicks off the background to the whole plant breeding project in itself, and the fact that, you know, everybody's doing things slightly differently, and it's interesting to see, you know, what starting material people are using. Yeah, and it's going to be interesting, this, I must say. I think it's one of those that certainly divides the community. But the emphasis being, yeah, it's on the commercial side. I think that's where, yeah, I mean, I just think it's one of those where it just, I'm having a better understanding of what it means when it goes properly commercial. It's one flower, 2 hash for the win. We got to get you some cob. Let's see what you think about that for the 1-to-1 ratio.
Hey GMF, you don't hang or you don't dry anything before you do that cob? You literally chop it and then put it in, or like, does it matter how long?
That was what I got from Pete, was that it's best done fresh.
Okay,
so
yeah.
I did one fresh off the plant. Like I literally cut it and I cobbed it at the foot. I sat my butt on the grow room floor, just like I always do. And as I cut buds off the plant, I stuffed them in the jar. That was it. The second one, I was tired and I wanted to say, okay, do I really want to pack this now, or do I want to see if I can do some variation? So I thought, okay, I can cut the time. I'll dry it 24 hours first, and then I'll cut the secondary ferment. That worked. I'm not sure what it did, but it definitely still created all the color changes and things like that. It created the acidity, but it created about a 0.5 point less pH. So instead of going to 4.5, it stopped at about 5. So I think for the purposes of ferment, I think the liquid is kind of like just in growing. It's the medium of reaction. It's the medium of conductivity. It's the medium of all interactions of all these kind of microorganisms and their chemical exudates. So it's necessary for the pH drop.
Okay.
Yeah, like I always point to example for beer. I can inoculate with Lactobacillus plantarum and have in 18 hours, I can get it down to like 3.5 to 4 pH, which is enough to strip enamel on your teeth.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Gets you high and strips the enamel.
Yeah. So, but that's the thing. It stops at 3.5 at 5 to 4.5. So I think there's, like a lot of other fermented foods, there's a lot of natural controls in place that keep them from being quote unquote dangerous to us. You know, the only time I've made stuff that could really be dangerous is like making sodas with too hot or too low a pH. I like that phosphoric acid bite, stuff like that. And if you add too much of that, yeah, you can damage your teeth on the reg.
Yeah.
Did anybody catch that FCP episode with the Kango water there, where the ionized water, different pHs for your water? Just a little interesting.
by utilizing the Fusion machine and changing your pH, you can actually use it as a pesticide. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, without adding any extra EC to your water kind of shit. You know,
Right.
so you're not adding
Okay.
calcium and.
Where's
Are those the
I'll have to look
electric?
this up.
Are those like the electric boxes that they use in like normal plant, like the Energizer?
Yeah.
Yeah. Those were. Yeah, I was wondering. No, I haven't seen any of that on like the cannabis side. I know a guy that sells them. He said I could use one, but I'm like, I don't know I didn't know.
So
what
you
the
have to
benefit
get
would
the
be.
right
I guess
sort
I
of.
should- Yeah.
Some
I
of
guess the
them
box.
vary in voltage, so they actually don't. They don't actually work as effectively. I guess this company makes a transformer that's constant current that
Yeah.
that
Huh.
really can kind of
Hey.
affect the water in a different way. But I don't know if it's fucking magic water or
That'd
what.
be in like a DWC. You want to run that in like
Keno,
right? I
sorry,
mean,
just
you wanna-
quickly before you bail, before you jump, dude, where can people find you on? Do you have a quick shout out? Plug yourself.
Oh, thank you, mate. It just Grown 420 is at the forum, or we're on social media and the YouTube and everything, man. So, but yeah. So, but I appreciate coming on. It's just the kids are doing kid things. So I've got to go. But I'm gonna try and get back
I
on
hear
as soon as
that.
I've shut them in the
life.
garden, man. But yeah,
Right on.
Yeah, no worries, no worries.
thank you, lads. And
It's
Pete,
nice to
as
see you,
always, mate.
Keno.
Nice to see you all. And thank you, everyone. Stay safe if I don't get back. All right, take care.
Yeah, no,
Care,
thanks
man.
for jumping in.
Take care, buddy.
Like
Cool,
everyone,
man.
Be safe.
Later, man.
Thanks, man.
Sorry, back to the conversation on, was it water ionizers?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know much about it. I know for like as IPM or just as a cleaner, ionized water is the best thing to use to clean your tent and shit or anything. That's what they use in hospitals, most of them around here. But this whole ionized water, I'm just more curious. I listened to the thing, but they didn't really talk about like what I'm most curious about is does that pH stick around? And I asked it in chat, but in that show, but
Okay, look,
Whether-
they don't want to give you a lot of information on that because they're trying to get it patented.
yeah,
Yeah. So what it is this: the guys up in Oregon and Washington State, they found out first by utilizing it because this old lady that had cancer does it on her tomatoes. She always, like everyone else, gets blight. So what she was doing is she would come through in the morning time at somewhere like an 11 or a 9 positive, and then come through like 5 minutes later, 10 minutes later with like a -2. So the way it switched it up, it didn't allow for colonization of any pathogens for the full day. So she was producing heirloom tomatoes for years like this from using the same machine that she was utilizing to fight her cancer. They ended up getting a farm beside her and saw what she was doing and copied her. So that's how they got the information.
yeah.
And they
Because there's also people that are buffering. Yeah. Making calcium more available.
right.
Well,
right.
and there's white papers on this from Japan, so this is not like anything new.
The one I saw recently was agitation of the water to keep it to prevent nutrients falling out of solution as much as quickly when running it down really long lines. So I guess again for much more of a commercial setup where you're running stuff down, like 100-meter plus lines, by the time it reaches the end of that, things can start to fall out of solution. And it was designed to try and keep it agitated so it would stay in solution for a lot longer.
Yeah, I think that's the test South Carolina's doing. They're trying to charge the water some type of way, like you're saying, to keep it in agitation, to run drip lines for feed.
Yeah, a lot of guys are using the high pressure pumps and more quality fixtures for the end check valves and the drippers and shit. But using that high pressure is supposed to help too. I know a guy here in Salem that builds all kinds of stuff with these fancy high pressure cloners and our WDC, just with a different style of pump.
I mean, that's just what's happening now. I think there's people are starting to realize, like, hang on, I think Coop mentioned it, that it is just a plant, and in some respects, it's just a plant. So stop trying to treat it. It's like, oh, it's cannabis. I've got to do something special and wonderful with it. It's like, look at what ag does and go, okay, it costs a third of the price or a tenth of the price because it doesn't have a cannabis leaf stuck on the side of the fucking product. You know, it's irrigation. Irrigation is irrigation. Some people have perfected it. Go and have a look and see how they do it. You know, the guy doing 1 million square feet greenhouse knows what he's doing in irrigation. Or he doesn't.
Yeah, but
have the money.
everyone wants to make a buck now. It's like all these products, half of them I think are fucking hocus pocus bullshit, and they're just selling bottles of shit because it's a huge industry. You know, this is one of the leading industries in America right now. I mean, this is especially during the pandemic.
Yeah. I mean, there's been a massive increase, at least, certainly in the UK, they've seen a massive spike in home growing in terms of just vegetables and whatever. I think if you're a hydroponic store and you haven't been making money during the pandemic, you're just a shit hydroponic store. You know?
Oh yeah, you get a queue and it's every 5 minutes and there's a line of cars like fucking 15 to 30 deep waiting for their next queue to get their car loaded up at the local hydro store. I only have two near me, so
the alcohol alone that you can get from there, like the value on that, it's just through the roof. Yeah.
Oh, I thought you were talking about alcohol. I was going to say, look at your neighbor's recycling bin.
That too.
Yeah.
We're looking at you, Pete.
Everybody's drinking way more alcohol. But the alcohol, $20 a bottle in my store for the gallon.
30 over here.
Cheap.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And when you buy 5 gallons, it's the same rate of 30 a gallon. You know, it is what it is, but hey, at least you're getting it. A lot of people can't even get that, so I might even pick up 5 gallons before things shut down, even more so. At least a gallon. Yeah, everyone should at least get a gallon. If you can't afford the $120 for the 5 gallon, at least have a gallon. Backing yourself up. You just, it's a good time.
Yeah, I'm already
prepared.
seeing. I was at the shopping today, and there's already idiots with a shopping cart piled of fucking toilet paper and paper towels. I'm like, dude, what the fuck?
Buy a bidet, bro, and then you can go through less toilet paper.
Yeah, right. That's what I need to do. $50.
That's what you should be investing in.
And that's what they're doing. Like, people are out hoard buying, and it's ridiculous, man.
You'll buy a bunch of bidets and go door to door and just start selling. Like, hey, man, we're out of TP, but I got this.
Hey, dude, is a redneck bidet not just a hose pipe and a and a
But I did
variable?
it for 2 weeks last time in April. I did it for 2 weeks. I just used the shower head.
Exactly.
I've got
You're
the
in the
wand.
shower anyway.
So I've got I've got the overhead and then the wand, and I just
Kind of tickles.
yeah. just go
2020
right
for you.
What else are you gonna do, man? I was gonna grab the cat.
There's a joke. There's a bear and a rabbit, and the bear turns to the rabbit and goes, "Hey, rabbit, do you have a problem with shit sticking to your fur after you take a crap?" And the rabbit's like, "No." The bear grabs hold of the rabbit and wipes his ass with it and throws him to one side.
Now you do.
You do now.
Yeah, that's a great one. Good one for sure.
So I tried to get a look under with that macro lens, and I don't see any trichomes, but I am also a terrible photographer, and that is not a skill that I have. So I don't see anything, and I take macro pictures usually just to look at my stuff. So I'm not entirely sure what happened. I need a microscope, like Ozzy said.
Yeah. Yeah, I want to get hold of, I want to get hold of one of those USB microscopes for the knife sharpening, actually, oddly enough.
That'd be
That's
handy.
a good one.
That's where you
Go
take it
check-
to that
check the
extra
grain.
level.
Yeah.
Well, you're just checking the edge to make sure you've removed all of the burr from it and that it's completely nice and smooth and polished up. It's like
And
all
there are
of these
different
things.
edges.
So what
People don't realize
what
convex, concave grinds, they matter depending on what you're cutting.
what times would you need? What What do you need for
I
a window?
use like a loop magnifier that does 100 times, and I mean that's plenty. But if you can go more, yeah, why not? But I mean at 100 times, it's more than enough. You can actually see so what's nice about doing that is you do it all in one direction, so you can see all the grain is now in one direction, and then you do it all the other way, and you can see that you've definitely hit every single piece because all the grain's now going the other way. And then when it comes down to the polishing, you can make sure that all the grains disappeared, and it's just a perfectly smooth, flush surface. But that kind of edge doesn't last for long. I mean, that's like use it once, and if you look at it again, it's like, that edge.
Yeah, and that's like what, like
but I mean,
1,000
that's
stone.
super. Oh no, way beyond that. We were talking.
Even no shit. All we ever had was 1,000.
That's getting down to. I use what is this, ultra fine? Yeah, so this is at least 8,000. You can't feel it. I
Oh,
mean,
Jesus.
There's
Yeah,
no
yeah,
texture
it's
to
like-
it. It's just perfectly smooth. But the bit that really does it at the very end, it's the lapping with the leather. That last little bit of polish it, strapping it with a leather strap. That really just suddenly goes to razor sharp.
Because now you're just so subtly manually manipulating that edge into perfect straightness.
All that's taking off is it's actually just saying like any little burr that's left just gets removed
gets caught.
from this
Yep.
edge. Yeah, strop. That's what. Yeah, stropping it, lapping it, stropping it. wrong term.
Purple is
But yeah.
always listening, Pete.
Yes.
How dare you? How dare you?
That Bug Lady Susan has, she recommends that $350 scope there that she's always touting, the little USB scope. And I don't know if that would work for your edges as well, but it's certainly something that you would work great in your garden for everything from trichomes to bugs.
Scouting.
But it's about 300. Yeah, it's about
Scouting is
$350.
very important.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just want something that can just, that's fixed in place. That's really it. And rather than having to move up and down, if you can just have it on a nice big screen in front of you while you're doing something, just to quickly run it underneath and go, yeah, that's good. Quickly go again.
Yeah, it helps to have a USB so you can, because looking through the eyepieces versus on your screen, it's so much nicer to have it on your screen because you can really manipulate it.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, when
Ozzy ought to have a show called Pimp My Microscope. Like his stuff, man. That is, I love his stuff.
Yeah, I mean, because
man,
that
crazy.
CCD monitor technology allows it to take all the frames, so you basically can get you get a better image through your computer than you do and what you could look at. It actually enhances the image.
Yeah. No, he's putting up some really cool stuff. And then it's
Y'all
also
don't know
amazing
Ozzy
just what
CC
stuff
on
looks
YouTube.
like under a
Tyler,
microscope. Yeah.
shout yourself out. You need to leave,
Yeah,
unfortunately. Glad to see you.
Yeah.
Uh,
If you guys want to find me, I'll be on Facebook, The Growing Buds, Instagram, Shooby Doo, and Cannabis, The Growing Buds.
Excellent.
Nice hanging with you guys.
And
Right on,
yeah,
Tyler.
Have a good one, Lefty.
we'll
Thanks,
catch you next
Tyler.
week, Tyler.
Take care.
Yeah, bro.
Bye, Tyler.
Yeah, now I'm
Underground,
gonna
you
get back into. What was that?
I was asking Underground if he was out of here. Looked like he was bouncing too.
No, I'm jumping out in about like another 15 minutes.
Oh, okay.
you were saying goodbye to Ty.
Yeah.
And I was just saying bye to Lefty because his eyes keeps getting closer and closer and closer.
I'm good.
Slow
I'm just teasing.
blinks.
I'm just teasing. I'm jealous, actually. Very jealous.
He's barely holding on. He didn't tip about 2 or 3 times, but he coming back.
I'm good. I swear
I
I got
seriously got off my hash cam.
Oh no, excellent, man, excellent. Well, I tell you what, I mean, we're coming towards like the 90-minute, hour and a half, which is where we break it into. If you want to jump in and join us in the not live version or part of the show, where we chat a bit more freely.
Repeat starts to work blue.
there is the link in chat. You're more than welcome to jump in. So like another 10 minutes, we'll be wrapping it up at past. So yeah, feel free to jump in. The current chat that's looking. So is that from the this is the bit from the ferment?
Yeah,
Already
it's already
used.
been. It looks like kind of already been vape weed anyway. Like it kind of looks like it.
I think
Yeah.
the kombucha made with cob that's already being done would be the way forward in terms of making it active, like a psychoactive drink.
That's the next plan. Since we've got so many different things planned, I think the next time I knock down non-seeded plants, and I'm going to stick to, because I breed for compulsion. I'm going to stick to making cobs only out of non-seeded plants. But I don't mind making them. So I think this next round, I might just, make a lot more than just one plant into cobs and see what kind of different cobs, you know what I mean? I'll run a bunch of them side by side of the same thing and see if anything changes. Or I might, if I got like 2 plants up at the same time, I might mix them to homogenize it. That way I can do 2 different processes with the same product and kind of get an evaluation of the process. So it'll depend on what I have come up. Because right now I'm cleaning everything out. I'm getting rid of everything. And I'm just keeping the one dude for the breeding project. But because I'm so limited, I have to do this very slowly. So I'm just flowering and getting rid of everything I had handy. And I'm just keeping the one dude. And then we'll start popping these old bag seeds, these old brickweed bag seeds for the breeding project and see what happens.
So what would be interesting, could you take, I wonder how it would work if you blended, so if you put it through a blitzer quickly, just to smash it all up, and then you could take 2 different strains, throw them in, blend them up, and then press it so it's already like mildly broken up, if I'm making sense.
No, makes absolute sense.
Of stirring all the bits and pieces together, and that also you wouldn't have to sit there and break out all the stems. I'm thinking that kind of just hammers the whole plant in.
Well,
you
probably
turn
do
it
it like
all
Bob on the Job does it, and I grab a sharp knife and just use my cutting skills, make the eagle claw, and dice through it just like I would anything else. I mean, I've had to dice literally an entire 40-pound sack of onions at one time before. So I'm pretty sure I can dice enough plants of weed into a fine, Amance or something like that to be able to homogenize it with a sharp French knife.
Yeah, I reckon that would be the way to do it.
Because then I also wouldn't smash a bunch of trichomes. That's my other question.
Yeah.
I'm going to do one without smashing it the next time. I know this is going to sound insane, but I'm going to try to just cob a whole nice, pretty bud in one jar where you can see it and it looks nice. I'll ferment it and see what exactly happens to it. And then I'll pull it out, dry it, and then put it back in for the ferment. So the water won't be squished out of it. I'll evaporate it out the second time. But I'm going to try to actually cob so we can all see what's going on. I'm going to try to cob a whole bud and not squish it.
Nice.
I'm insane. Sorry.
Oh, well, it keeps the world interesting. That's at least one good bit about it. So yeah, what's everybody else got planned for the rest of this? Well, you guys got more hours of your weekend than we do on this neck of the woods. Anything exciting planned?
Just hanging out with everybody later tonight on Brews with Buds, with all my buds, and just have probably brew up some coffee. I'm trying to keep I don't really want to drink coffee as much. I'm trying to get my circadian rhythm back in check for school. I can't stay
I think
up.
we can be friends anymore, Raptor, if you're not going to drink coffee.
Oh, I'm
Kidding,
trying
just kidding.
to just let myself get to sleep earlier. But once school starts, I'm gonna have to take it up again. There's no fucking way. I need at least one coffee with school, and if I'm studying, I'm usually drinking 2. But yeah,
What?
that's
2
my
a
weekend.
day?
If I'm have to like study for
Jesus,
like
that's the first
a
15
test.
minutes.
It's just good time.
Oh my God. I thought, yeah, Jesus, yeah, if, yeah,
Oh,
I
I
make
thought
a
you were
cup of
saying that
coffee
was too
while I'm
much. I
waiting
was
for
like,
the cup.
sheesh, man.
No,
Like,
no, dude.
uh,
I make a cup of coffee while I'm waiting for the cup of coffee to be
yeah.
made.
Oh man.
Oh, no way I couldn't do that. Jesus. Occasionally I have blood running through the caffeine in my veins.
Okay.
When
Or
they draw your
tequila.
blood, it's a
Or tequila, yeah.
yeah, exactly. 30% anejo, 60% caffeine, and that leaves your your 10% blood. There you go, perfect.
Exactly.
Good draw.
10% for something else.
Yeah, yeah. Unknown. We'll leave it at that.
So are we getting ready to sign off though? I will say, Dave's no here. Dave's no there. How you doing, bud? We'll see you. You said you're gonna get on Fumi's tonight, man. I'm gonna hold you to it. We'll see you there tonight.
Sure.
Hey. Good. Yeah, so I tell you what, yeah, on that note, where can everybody find everyone? Let's start with Duckweed. Are you still around, sir, or have you wandered off into the... Oh, you're
It's
still
in the
there.
great abyss of the fuck. Yo, you can catch me at get this, Nuts in Guts 868 on Instagram. And yeah, I just started that Instagram account. So
He's so proud of himself for that. just the smile on his face. It's like, yes.
That's my.
Like it took him a while to come up with it, but yeah, it's a good one.
That's my other stripper name. But yeah, you can follow me there. You catch me here on Fumi's channel. Basically in the chat everywhere and any fucking where. Yeah. Cheers, everybody.
And Underground, where can we catch you, sir?
Underground Organics Farm on IG and VA Country Boy on Cannabis.
No, sorry. I'm trying to make a witty comment to Dave's not here. This thing about hearing his sexy voice. It's muffled through your hand told, don't panic. Oh, shit. Sorry. Derailed myself. GMF, where can everybody find you, sir?
Just hit me on IG if you got any questions, if there's anything I can do to be helpful. I'll also be on Grow Room 420 this coming Wednesday, the 25th. They asked me to come by, so I'm not sure why, and I'm not sure what they're in. They know what they're in for, but if they want me to be a spaz over there, I guess I'll be a spaz over there. So they're really nice people, so I'm not going to say no if they ask for something.
Nice, excellent. And then Gun to Grow, where can we find you, sir?
Yeah, man. Gun to Grow on Instagram. Sometimes I try to be in chat. I'm usually in chat. It's Chris Mertz in chat, but yeah, man. Thanks, Pete. This is great. Love it. Hopefully I'll see you guys later
Thank
on.
you for stopping by. Yeah.
Well, stay around for the after hours chat.
And then, sorry, Lefty, you still with us, buddy? You still there?
Hey, I'm still here.
Fucking Lefty.
I'm jealous of Lefty.
I'm just chilling, man. That's just the way I go. I just chill. Yeah, you can find me Lefty's Farm on Instagram and Lefty's Farm on Cannon Buzz. I'm here, man. Just trying to keep these plants fucking under control, bro.
Sure.
Oh dear! I tell you what, you're a testament to LEDs, because as I said, if it wasn't LEDs, they'd be all crispy at the top. Definitely. And then, Mr. Bagseed, where can we find you, sir?
I got my Instagram, Mr. Bagseed, and then my YouTube that I've been randomly kind of going live and having people on. So yeah, if you want to add me on any of those, we kind of just hang out, do the same kind of thing. I appreciate you having me on. It's always fun learning with you guys. And yeah, I like the whole
thanks for jumping in.
Whole community is super cool. So I enjoy it all.
Yeah, really nice. panel tonight with a whole bunch of people. That was really good. Nice to see
Yeah,
everyone.
Yep. And then Fumi's tonight. That's cool. Yeah, we'll be there. So yeah, it's always good linking up with you guys.
Yeah. And then Raptor. Last but not least, sir, how can we find you?
Well, yeah, you can just find me on Raptor Grow on Instagram. It's all one word. None of this underscore, uppercase, lowercase, all that stuff. Try to keep it simple. It's literally, I did it all lowercase, so everyone can be happy there, no matter what happens.
Fantastic. Us developers like that because, believe it or not, we take all of your usernames and convert them into lowercase.
Yeah.
We don't give a shit. Like, yeah, convert to lowercase.
But yeah, you could find me in chat with all these guys. Usually with all you in chat as well. Just like to hang out, listen, learn. Apparently, people want to see me more online, so that's why you see me on here. Again, that's the same as GMF. I don't know why. I just show up and everyone's really nice and joke around and have some fun. And yeah, try to bring up some knowledge that I have myself with horticulture, some ecology, and yeah. So if you have any questions, let me know.
Excellent. So for seeing more of you, that's at onlyfans.com /Raptor Grows.
All lowercase.
Sponsored by Blue Chew.
The question is, what's growing, eh?
Yeah, and then also, last but not least, you can catch.
Get to see the bottom of the profile screen, the whole thing. Special
and
499
this
special.
is sponsored microscopes from
Scope.
And on that, you can catch myself on Operation Grow 2019 on Instagram and Peel Grow Systems on Instagram. Thank you, everybody in chat, for joining in and being part of the show. It's really appreciated. It always amazes me. People turn up every week. It's fantastic. Yeah, hit the like and subscribe. Don't forget that later on tonight, there is the Buds Brews, Buds something or another. I chucked too many names. Fumi's channel, if you go and I think if you follow Fumidor and the flavors, that's the one to go to. Subscribe there. Away you go. Yes, and then again, Growing 420 next Wednesday. Tune in and catch Genetic Memory Farms. And on that note, thank you very